Hello and welcome to another episode of the Adrienne Ross Show, the basketball edition. And I just finished having a conversation with two gentlemen as we broke down Caitlin Clark, the Indiana Fever, Unrivaled, the WNBA. We could go on, and we did. You're going to love this because it was absolute fire. I wore the right color today, all right? Because like I said, it was fire. So let me let you in on that conversation right now. Make sure you hang around for the whole thing. I wouldn't want you to miss the lightning round. All right, here we go. I am super excited to have two guests on the Adrienne Ross Show today. One of them has been on the show before. We'll get to him in a moment, but I want to start with the gentleman who's not been on the show, but I've watched some of his stuff on his podcast. So I want you to meet Rudy Rodriguez Showmat. Did I pronounce that right, Rudy?
Yeah, Showmat. Close enough.
Showmat. Okay. Rudy is the host of Come On Now, the podcast, and Rudy's Rant. He coached 17U AAU basketball for 7 years and has covered high school, college, and professional sports for almost 20 years with various news media outlets, including InsideTheU.com, which focuses on the University of Miami. He started Come On Now, the podcast, in January 2024 with two partners covering all sports. But of course, with Caitlin Clark's emergence, has been doing a lot on Clark and women's basketball. Rudy, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, and I will behave. Don't worry.
I will behave. I got to tell you, I'm going to tell you a little bit about why he said that in a moment, guys. All right. So Martin has been on the show before. Like myself, he's from New York, although I'm now in Southeast Missouri, but he's from the Bronx, where I spent the first 8 years of my life. And he began his successful journey of becoming a poet and writer at the age of 14. Also very interested in music. He created his own brand of commentary through his YouTube channel, LiveWire Sports and Entertainment, and rebranded to LiveWire Sports Media. And he's writing columns for his favorite team through fan sides, and does his writing of his favorite sports team like the Indiana Fever, Washington Commanders, and the Miami Hurricanes, just to name a few. So welcome back to the show, Martin.
Good, great to have me back. I'm good. I'm glad to be back.
Yeah, I'm glad you're here because we're gonna get into some stuff today. Now I gotta say something about what
So
Rudy,
you are both from the Bronx.
yeah,
Correct.
because I'm no longer in the Bronx. Like I definitely want the Yankees to win, but I grew up a Mets fan. What's that? What's that?
This is Yankees tattoos. I'm a Yankees fan. Die hard.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Die hard.
One thing I didn't think to mention during the show was that I actually lived for the first 8 years of my life close enough to Yankee Stadium that I could see it from my bedroom window at night when it was lit up. That's the old Yankee Stadium, of course.
I would pick the Mets over the Yankees. I don't like the Yankees fan. Since I'm in the South, I'm a diehard Braves fan. I'm a huge Braves fan.
Okay.
So
Well,
I'm sorry to cut you off. I apologize.
no, that's okay. Listen, we're it's so informal around here. It's no problem. But I grew up in a family of Mets fans, so I still remember when the '86 Mets won the World Series. My sister and I nearly tore up the house screaming because that was a comeback of all comebacks. And but now I certainly was sort of doing like this when the Yankees got stomped the way they just did. But it is what it is. Okay. Now I gotta say what Rudy. I want to say something about what Rudy said because he said I will behave myself. Everybody's going, why does he say that? Because I admit I'm giving Rudy a hard time because he just says it like the language and stuff. He just comes out with it. And like the F-bomb usually makes me cringe. So I'm giving him a little bit of a hard time. So Rudy, he said to me, I didn't even bring it up. He said to me in an email, I will keep it clean and all that other stuff. But I knew he would. I knew he would because I can just tell that he would. I just knew. But I really wanted him and Martin on the show because they're both used to Rudy's rant, right? Rudy, he takes a topic and he lets it fly. and he doesn't hold back. And I got to tell you, Rudy, I believe you were the first person I ever heard use the expression, keep it a buck. Now, my background is in teaching, so I was very familiar with all the sayings and stuff, but I've been out of the classroom now for a while. And so I don't get to hear that. And I was like, keep it a buck. Like, what is that? Well, ever since then, I've used it a few times. But I trust that you're going to keep it a buck. Martin, I listen
Always.
to you. You're always breaking stuff down. You and I got on here. You broke it down about Stephanie White. That's a whole different conversation there. But I knew that you guys would just come and keep it a buck. Okay. And so I'm going to do something different than I normally do if I have a guest on the Adrienne Ross show. It's usually more like an interview kind of style or conversation, and then it'll be a conversation. But I really want to let these guys just go. So I'm going to throw out a topic. It might be just a name, and I'm leaving it at that. And I want each guy to go with it. What's going through their mind, they're just going to let it go. And then we're going to kind of weigh in. So each guy will have the topic, and he'll go with it, and then we'll chime in. It probably will look like it usually looks by the time it's all over, because we're all going to get in there and chop it up. But I really want to let them cook. So you guys ready for that?
I'm ready.
All right, good. So
absolutely ready to roll.
Okay, good. Rudy, I'm going to start with you. And again, I'm just going to throw out a topic, and I want you to run with it. Whatever you do. The face of the WNBA.
That's easy. It's Caitlin Clark. It's like this conversation is absolutely asinine, that there are people that think that there is actually another person who could be the face of the WNBA. She is the reason that a large majority of us are actually paying attention now. Now, you may have been watching WNBA basketball before I remember when the WNBA started. I'm older than most people think. I'm almost 50 years old. I mean, I'm 47 actually next week. So I'm closer to 50 than I am to 40. And I remember Cynthia Cooper. I remember Cheryl Swoops. I remember all those teams from the Houston Comets. And I watched it back then. And then slowly but surely, we had the Miami Soul down here for about 2 or 3 years. They were good for a year. Next year they didn't have a team,
Right.
And I've watched the WNBA try to do this and then just go like this. And their promotion of the league is atrocious. It's been atrocious for 2 decades. And people have not paid attention to the league. It's it's otherworldly boring at times to watch. And you get a player like Caitlin who does things, and that's why I've used the term generational with her, because she does stuff that none of us have ever seen a women's basketball player do. And one of the sports that I did cover was women's basketball. I covered women's basketball at Florida State. I covered because I went to Florida State for a year and a half. I covered women's basketball at FIU because I went to FIU. That's where I graduated from. I covered women's basketball at University of Miami. I covered high school girls basketball for over a decade. And I've never seen anyone like Caitlin Clark. Whether it's the shooting from distance, the ridiculous passes that she makes, the court vision. She's LeBron James for a female. Wow. She's obviously not as big as him, but the passes that she makes, only LeBron James can make in the NBA.
Okay.
And she makes them in the women's game. They want to show you Chelsea Gray. Ugh, give me a break. Like Asia Wilson is blah, boring, bland. Her game is bland. It's not fun to watch. She's a great player, but who's paying to see Asia Wilson play?
Wow.
Everywhere. See, maybe in her own building they pay to watch her play because they play in a Band-Aid box. Why don't the Aces play in T-Mobile or the Thomas and Mack Center? No, they play in a 10,000 seat casino arena, for which I would venture to guess that the casino still gives away free tickets to high rollers. I would believe that in a second. I don't believe half these tickets that most of these teams are even paid for. I think they're free. Yeah. I know how many comps the Miami Heat gives. I'm a Heat season ticket holder. That entire 400 level, those are comps.
Okay.
So they comp them to the dancers, they have the women dancers, the old people dancers. They have a Golden Oldies crew. They comp them to schools,
Right.
So they're free tickets. I don't believe most of the only attendance numbers I truly believe are the Fever. Those tickets are caught everywhere. The tickets for tickets for the Fever game, they cost a fortune. And I'm gonna go to.
I know. I looked them up.
I'm
They
flying.
definitely do.
I'm flying somewhere in 25 to see Caitlin Clark play. I don't know where. Preferably, probably Atlanta, or DC, or Dallas, or because I don't know that I want to go to Indiana. Realistically, I mean, I've been there. I want to go to a place where I'm gonna have. I want to go to a place where I can make it a vacation. Maybe Chicago. I love Chicago.
Okay. All right. So he made it plain. He said Caitlin
Clark.
Now I hear you giving your yay and amen, Martin. Do you agree with everything he said? Or
yeah, yeah, I agree totally. I mean, it behooves me to even listen to when people talk about Adrienne Wilson being the face, or people picking Adrienne Wilson to be the face when her game doesn't even translate. It's almost like you watching Bam Adebayo play. And if it was, her game was like Joker from the Denver Nuggets, then it'd be a different topic, different conversation. But Joker don't even get credit in the NBA because he does everything and everybody hates on him because they like the traditional big man. She's a traditional big woman. She doesn't do what Candace Parker do when Candace Parker was playing. So me personally, we have all sat back and watched Caitlin Clark transcend, came into the league, passing. Now, the only passing wise is if you ever one of us have watched Tisha Penachero, how she passes, then that's close to me of Caitlin Clark. You know what I'm saying? Caitlin Clark has the total package. There is no guard in the league or in college right now that can score over 25 points, pass for about 10 assists, and rebound for almost 7 rebounds a game, and still get almost 2 blocks a game. That's very hard to do as a guard. I look at it all the time, and I see how she moves. She's very fast paced. She picks up spots. It's almost like she's so cerebral to what is she doing. And the thing about it is that people just want to continue to deny her when they know the evidence is there. She is the face because attendance wise, ticket wise, merchandise wise, TV viewership, it's all skyrocketed because of her. Before she came to the league, where was they? You know what I'm saying? So the fact of the matter is, I totally agree with what Rudy said because when they say she's 1-on-1, nah, she's a phenomenon of one because there is nobody like her.
Well, let me ask you guys this. Okay, so you're in agreement there, but I got to ask you this. Do you think that the WNBA players, by and large, not everyone, do you think that they would agree with what either of you just said?
I think some of them would agree, but they won't say it out loud.
Ooh. Okay.
Well, quietly and in private, they would all agree.
Yeah.
In public, they won't agree because they
they
hate her. They hate it. They flat hate it. I mean, look, I'm a Hispanic male, white Cuban male. I grew up watching Larry Bird in the 80s. So obviously, as a white kid to people who can't jump, who do you want to emulate? You want to emulate the guys who can shoot the ball. That's who I looked at. Larry Bird, Mark Price, players like that. Mark Price, who is my height, actually was like 5'11", 6 foot tall, 5'10". I can't emulate Michael Jordan going. I can't do that. I can barely touch the middle of the net at my best. I mean, I think I got about that close to the rim. You know, when you look at someone, but it's like there's this gut. But one of my favorite players is Dwayne Wade. It's a Dwayne Wade t-shirt from 2013. Still fits. And I love Dwayne Wade. But there seems to be there remains that racial component that most of the black women in the WNBA cannot stand the fact that there is a white girl who is just better than all of them. And they can't accept it. And it's just weird. Like Jokic is the best player in the NBA, but I don't think
Mhm.
anyone would call Jokic the face of the NBA. No one would, because he doesn't have that appeal. He's
Mhm.
boring. He'd rather go ride his horses in what was it, Serbia? After they won the championship, he was like, when's the parade? Oh, it's too long. I want to go home. And then he was
Right.
happy to
Yeah.
be there
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
he was drunk off his tail. And I just think that many of the there are some that I mean you can't deny what you see. I mean, I got into it this week with some people that were posting stuff saying that Caitlin Clark sucks. Like, sucks. Like you lose all credibility. If you want to
All
critique
credibility.
certain
Yeah.
things of her game, feel free. But to sit here and
Right.
say she sucks, like
Right.
that's just foolish.
Right. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it was like the statement that Kennedy Carter made. All she can do is shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, all she can do is break records.
Right. And yeah, she found that out real fast too. What you said
Yeah.
reminded me of, I remember having conversations with my students during, I was a big Jordan fan. Oh, Jordan is garbage. And I said, listen, if you don't want to lose credibility, just say, I don't like Jordan. Don't
Yeah.
say
Exactly.
Jordan is trash. Because at that point, I got to tune out everything else you say. Now, Rudy, you brought up something. I wasn't even going to go there yet, but we might as well jump all the way in because you brought it up. And so I'm going to start with you, Martin. Race.
Mm.
Rudy said some people have an issue because Caitlin Clark is white, but I want to look at the whole picture of race. I mean, it's only one race, the human race, right? So skin color,
Yeah.
whatever you call it. How is that affecting discussions about sports? How is race affecting discussions about sports?
Well, the fact of the matter is when you have a certain agenda and you pushing a certain agenda in your sport, they make it about race. You know, regardless of how great a person is, we already see what Adrienne Wilson has said about white privilege when it came to Kelsey Plum and Paige Beckers. So you already know she already got jealous when Caitlin signed that $28 million deal with Nike. So the fact of the matter is that if they didn't have these certain agendas or they just went out and just play sports without having a certain look like the WNBA has right now, Caitlin Clark wouldn't even be a thing right now. But since they have this, well, it has to be me or it has to be a black female to cover or be the face of the WNBA. You see how much they trying to push Paige and Juju at this moment because Paige went out her way to do a speech when she didn't even have to do that. She wanted to be accepted. So, you know what I'm saying? Regardless of her growing up, her background, or what her family is, you still got to be yourself. People are not going to like you.
Let me just say, he's talking about 2021, I believe, the ESPY Awards, where
Yeah.
Paige just wanted to give the shout out to all the black people because she said they didn't get any credit for anything.
And we have seen a lot of black people have got recognized in some film and industries and stuff like that. But yeah, years before it wasn't like that. But at the same time, when you trying to manipulate the media with a gender, then me personally, I have a problem with it because I look at a person game more so than a person color or how they play. I never knew who Caitlin Clark was until 2-3 years ago, and I just kept hearing her name. And I had to look when I started watching her. I was like, "Oh my!" I said, "This girl really could play." You know what I'm saying? And my thing is, I'm a shooter. One thing about me, when I play basketball, I'm a shooter, and a rebounder, and I like shooting because I like Steph Curry. You know what I'm saying? So I love that type of excitement. And just like Rudy said, she brings a different element to the game. But just to come after her because you have some kind of agenda is really bad for business. And you see how it is bad for business for the WNBA right now. You just seen Adam Silver was at a Indiana Pacers game and Caitlin was there, and you see the two was emerged and talking. We don't know what they was talking about, but I'm sure it has some conversation that we probably see later on come down the line. when the season comes around. And the thing about it is that every time Angel Reese get on her podcast, she has to bring up Caitlin Clark. You could do a podcast without having her in your name all the time. It's like they trying to attach or make her seem like she's racist or her fan base is racist, just to make it feel like, oh, we have the right to be this way, when you really don't. If you go out there and play your game, people gonna recognize you. If you learn how to close your mouth sometime and stop spewing out negativity, people will respect you. And I don't respect people like that just to be always attacking somebody that's innocent. We see Caitlin Clark out here doing speaks, golf, even put her name in a bid for a soccer team, and she's minding her business. But people,
but she's the white girl minding her business. You say there's an agenda, Rudy. What do you take it from there? Is there an agenda regarding race?
Absolutely. I remember sports when sports used to just be sports. I didn't grow up in the 50s and 60s, or the 40s for when you had baseball with the Negro Leagues, or Jackie Robinson breaking through, and then with football as the breakthrough with black athletes. I wasn't alive. So this is not, I grew up 80s, 90s. I was born 1977, 2000s. And then it was Colin Kaepernick one day decides to take a knee and turns sports upside down to where every conversation now within sports is black and white. And it's sad because I watch sports to escape reality. Right. Sports is supposed to be entertainment. They're playing children's games and making obscene levels of money that have blown through the roof in basketball, primarily in the past decade. Despite the fact that ratings in the NBA have gone into the toilet comparatively, because of the exact same thing, that everything now, beyond the fact that the game is bad to watch. I mean, I love three-point shooting. I don't like 53s a game. That's just ridiculous. Right. A bunch of guys that can't shoot threes. It just, watching guys pass up layups to kick out for 28 footers is just bad basketball. Right. And I don't want to see the WNBA game go that way, actually. It's actually a better brand of ball, just not skilled enough. And if the NBA played like that, I would enjoy the NBA a lot more. Yeah. That said, they've made everything has become a racial conversation. Everything is race related. I mean, we got through the point of the black quarterback in the NFL. So now pretty much like half the quarterbacks are black now. Yeah. So we finally got through that component. And Patrick Mahomes has won multiple Super Bowl championships. Long gone are the days of Doug Williams being the first black Super Bowl champion quarterback. Now, it gets old and tired for me because I love sports and I want to watch sports for sports. And I can appreciate Kelsey Mitchell's game. I can appreciate Kennedy Carter is incredible.
Yes, she is.
Incredible. She's crazy, but she's incredible. Yeah. And, whereas at the same time, if I ever criticize Angel Reese, I'm a racist.
Yeah.
Like how am I?
Listen, and so am I.
Like how am I? Oh, I've been called racist by white people and black people.
Yeah.
So how am I a racist because I watched and coached basketball and watched a woman who is skillfully inept. She has no skill. She's athletic, kind of. And at the end of the day, what are we watching? We're watching her shoot 39% on layups. And if I criticize that, I'm a racist.
Well, so here's the thing too. I just went back.
If that was a white girl, the same people call me racist would be saying that girl sucks.
Well, I'm telling you, I went back and forth yesterday with someone who just said, she said, I'm trying to understand you. I can't wrap my brain around you. And I'm saying, what is there to understand? The whole racial idolatry. Well, this channel is all these people and the racism. And I said, well, listen, I don't have a problem calling anything out. I just called somebody out yesterday and called him ignorant for something he said. Now, show me something that is racist in it. Something. First of all, I can't police the whole asking me to police the whole channel is like asking Caitlyn to police all the so-called fans. But show me something where that's racist. But it wasn't about race. It's about criticism. Now, if you criticize or critique in a sport, it's racist.
It's insane.
And that's sad.
Let me bring up this real quick. You mentioned Paige Beckers made that speech.
Yeah.
Unnecessary, because that's your moment, Paige, not anyone else's moment.
Yeah.
And I don't like that. Like, make it your moment. You don't have to kiss anyone's tail. Like, that's just becoming stupid. But Caitlin Clark was on Saturday Night Live and did the exact same thing.
Yep.
And no one says a word about it because no one watches, because the people who are commenting don't watch Saturday Night Live.
Exactly.
But it was on Saturday Night Live where she hit on every one of the great past players. And her favorite, who is Maya Moore, who she still acts giddy about. She acts giddy when she sees her, like her hero, and she's criticized. Like the lunacy. Sorry, I'm a hooper. I don't have to be an activist. And this league is just nothing but activism now, of which, like, it's tired. Like, bro, I want to watch sports. I don't care about girls dating girls or who you're dating or some reality show. I don't care about that. I don't care about Asia. Asia Wilson is a hypocrite. Bluntly. She is Clarence from 8 Mile. She's Clarence.
Oh, Mr. Ruckus from the
She grew up in a middle-class family, went to one of the best schools in South Carolina her whole life, and she's sitting here talking about, you understand your privilege.
Yeah,
I mean,
Kelsey just took it.
Kelsey Plum is weak.
Yeah,
and she allowed herself to be embarrassed, and whereas you're 5'8", it took a whole lot more for the 5'8" girl to get there than the 6'5" girl whose parents were basketball players.
Let me ask you this: do you think he had that same conversation with Diana Taurasi?
Hell no, Diana might punch her in the mouth.
Nah, she ain't going to Diana Taurasi like that. Diana Taurasi don't be playing.
And that's the thing. That's the hypocritical nature of this as well. And I've said this before, I'll say it again. Caitlyn she's viewed as white, not just white, but she's Iowa white.
Yeah, she's white, middle America white.
If you're from UConn, that's okay, right? Paige Beckers is not going to get the same treatment, in part because of the speech. Also, she's a part of the UConn sisterhood, and she's got a mixed family. All that figures in. But Caitlyn from Iowa, you're supposed to know your place. And that might be hard talk, but let's just be real. That figures in.
Absolutely.
Just like Shannon Sharp, just like Shannon Sharp called it on his nightcap. She is cornfed, pearl white girl, and she's whipping their tail, and they can't stand it.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what Larry Bird did in the 80s.
Yep. Yeah.
But the difference is back then, Cedric Maxwell said, "Who is this guy?" And within 10 minutes, he's like, "Oh my God." Like it didn't take a season. Right. It didn't. First of all, it should have taken that. You saw her in college. Right. This isn't back then where games were on television. You've seen her play. She's been a SportsCenter top 10 for 2 seasons. And the lies that have been spewed to make it sound like Angel Reese made her, when in fact, Caitlin Clark was averaging over 10,000 fans a game in her home building her junior year, and about 7,400 her sophomore year. Her freshman year was COVID, so they had no one in the building. And so these comparisons that go now into Juju and Paige and all that stuff, where Juju can't draw flies to a turd. I mean, bluntly, I would use the other word, but I don't want to use it. Can't draw 2 hours from her school, and people say, "Oh, well, it's Thanksgiving," huh? She's the face of the college women's game now. No, she's not.
Yeah.
No, she's not.
She's got incredible potential, but they're rushing it.
Yeah, it's inorganic. It's inorganic because her game is bland. Her game is, we've seen it before. And she's not even a point guard committing 9 turnovers in a game.
Yeah.
And they're not criticizing it.
Yeah. And that's
Because
why they're setting her up though, because she's got time to develop, and that's okay. She's got a good game. Like you said, it's not generational, but they're setting her up for the criticism because they're so desperately
Yeah.
looking to remove Caitlyn. And I do think that it's not just race, but I do think that that plays a factor. Okay, let's go to the next one. Rudy, you take this to start. I'm just going to throw this out, and I want to know what you think. Unrivaled.
you mean just Unrivaled?
That's it.
Apparently, Unrivaled has a location now that I had emailed to me. It's in an area of Miami called the Doral Medley area.
Okay.
Good luck getting there.
Oh.
It's like the worst it's a warehouse. It's a warehouse in what's otherwise known as outside of Hialeah, Florida. Going to West Hialeah, Doral Medley area is a nightmare. No, no one wants to go there. But Unrivaled is DOA. It's DOA. I got into a massive back and forth with some clown on Twitter a couple of days ago because I criticized the fact that Kelsey Plum is allowed to basically leave a contract. You're not going to tell me that Unrivaled didn't have these women sign contracts and you just let her walk out. She, honestly, outside of Angel Reese, she might be your most notable player in terms of popularity.
Mm-hmm.
She's a popular player. You just let one of because Nafisa Collier is great. She's not popular.
Yeah.
Brianna Stewart is great. She's not popular. Right. At least I don't think she's popular. And you let one of your most popular, if not the most popular beyond Angel Reese, walk out because she's depressed, because she hasn't gotten over her divorce. I've been divorced. Sucks. You don't stop going to work. You don't get to break contracts and walk out and say, oh, well, I wish them the best. When you're the sixth player to commit, why'd you commit? You committed 2 months after you filed for divorce. So why are you walking now with 6 weeks left? The Unrivaled League, they decided to basically sell themselves. They sold themselves. They showed their hand, and their whole hand was based on somehow trying to get Caitlin Clark to say yes.
Yeah.
They used that Willy Wonka chocolate factory gold ticket that they didn't have, and they waved it in front of TNT and State Farm and whoever else to get sponsorships on a player they didn't have. And now she says no, and they're panicking. They made that ridiculous 22-minute YouTube video when they could have made that thing so fan interactive.
Yeah, they could have.
They blew it. It was a trash can boilerplate YouTube video. And it wasn't even that good. It was not interesting. It was boring.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll get on this. Why are 4 men coaching these teams? I'm against men coaching these women's teams.
You got hold that thought, because that is actually something that I do want that I have on my list here that I want.
Okay.
Okay,
Well, I'll skip that part.
I've heard some. Yeah. So hold that. Let me say that.
I just think the league is DOA. I don't think it's going to survive a year. Okay. And instead of just saying keeping at 30 and like that's it, they want to jump into 36. If Caitlin Clark had said yes at 37, they would have taken her.
They still said they just released a statement saying who was it? Was it Nafisa Collier's husband? Somebody just said there's always a place for Caitlin to come.
Yeah.
So you cheapened your entire league.
Right. Yeah.
But go ahead.
You look desperate there, but they are. Go ahead, Martin. Unrivaled.
Well, you took the one comment out of my mouth because that's what I was going to touch on. I get Nafisa Collier, husband. I guess he's the president or co-owner of the Unrivaled, and he came out and said that, oh well, she's not going to play this year. He talked about, I guess, how much money they offer her, and said, well, she's open to join, next year or any other year, whatever the case might be. Now, the Unrivaled League is pretty much unraveling. And if Kelsey Plum could walk away just like that, just imagine how many other people that are thinking about, hey, you know what, maybe I'll just take a year off too. Then that continues to put them against the wall because now you got to survey the league and see what player that you want to grab in. I forgot the young lady that played with Angel Reese in Chicago. She used to play for the Indiana Fever.
I don't remember her name, but I know.
Yeah. So she's been training and whatever the case may be, saying that she training for Unrivaled, but they never picked her. So I guess she's going to be a supplementary player like some teams use.
Yeah.
But the thing about Unrivaled is I don't even take it serious. I think this was a move that Breonna Stewart wanted to her and Nafisha Collar. I think Nafisha Collar is a sweet young lady, and I think she's influenced by it because of her UConn connection with Breonna Stewart. I think if she was with another college or whatever, I don't think it would be the same. But anyway, Breonna Stewart they complained about more money from the league when they had got money for the veterans in the last CBA. So they coming back to the table complaining about more money. So this was them creating that Unrivaled league, not knowing the logistics of the whole situation, how it's going to pan out. So when Caitlin Clark came in the league, they figured, oh, well, you know what? Now we could fast track this a little bit faster. But it didn't work out because I already knew Caitlin was never going to play in there. Even though we had made videos and talked about it here and there, I just knew she was not going to play. She had too much obligation outside of the season to put her attention to a league that is really not going to benefit her. If she turned down $5 million from Ice Cube, she ain't going to play for no Unrivaled league that's going to offer her $1 million to $2 million. And then reports came out and said, well, Asia Wilson was offered $2 million just to make it seem like Asia Wilson was more valuable than Caitlin Clark. You could miss me with all of that. We all know the real deal. Like Rudy said, I don't think Unrivaled is going to last without the first season, because if they can't not land Caitlin Clark at no point in time, even from this season and going into next season, because they got Paige coming in, for next season, but still there might be players that say, we tried this out the first season, we don't want to play next season. And then guess what? They're going to have all them by half of them 36 spots empty, and you can't fill them. And then what you're going to do is TNT going to look at you like, hey, we're going to have to renegotiate something with the TV deal because you're not bringing no viewership in. And you're going to already be in debt. You see how their marketability is with Unrivaled. It's the same thing with the WNBA because they can't market. They don't know how to market players. They don't know how to put, like Rudy said, they could have did something totally different than that 22-minute, I call it a filibuster video, because the fact of the matter is, it was trash. It was not. It was. I didn't even watch it. I went back later.
I skimmed through it.
And went back. I said, okay, this is nonsense.
I watched it.
So
you watched all of it? You lasted through the whole thing? I was like, are they gonna announce her? And I was like, skip. Once I realized that it wasn't live.
The whole thing. I watched the whole thing, and I'm sitting like, this is a circus.
Well, I said it looked like, to me, the dark and all that, it looked like the back room of a tavern. They were, somebody making some deals or whatever. But I got to be real though with this. Because I got to ask you guys, like for real, like real. I get the impression though that lots of people don't even want it to be successful. Can we keep it real? And I want to know why. There is something in the air. We know it. We don't even want it to be. We want it to be DOA. When I say we, I mean a lot of people. I do wish them well. But I get the impression that people hope this thing seriously takes. And I seriously want to know why.
I mean, I think people who wanted to tank because they want to show that they can't survive without Caitlin Clark. They're Caitlin Clark fans. The ones that wanted us to tank are Caitlin Clark fans. I'm a Caitlin Clark fan. Yeah. I don't want it to tank. I actually want them to succeed. The problem is I don't think they have any clue what to do. And you have 3 children running this. There's something to be said for the most basic thing called experience. Do you see? So Nafisa Collier randomly makes her husband the president. Well, what is his 30-year-old ass? Oops, sorry.
No,
what does his 30-year-old self know about running a women's basketball league? Or any business for that matter. What does they have a former executive because I use that term loosely with the WNBA, from the Minnesota Lynx, who was the GM, did she get fired or she quit to go be the person in charge of whatever for this Unrivaled thing? They have it was a black woman who was talking a lot. She's like 29 years old. Like, I'm not trying to dismiss people's intelligence at a young age, but experience matters. And you have people that don't have a clue who are in charge, and the investors are actually the people with the experience. And I'm wondering how is John Skipper, former executive at ESPN, Meadowlark founder with Dan Le Batard, how is he not part of like sitting in that room? Like, those are the people that have the experience. You have children running this thing, and you have coaches outside of Teresa Weatherspoon and Phil Handy, who's obviously bored right now, a former NBA coach, assistant coach for many, many years. I'm going to coach this. I'm not understanding how they pick these coaches.
Right.
No names at all.
Right. But at the same time, you're saying though that a lot that you don't want it to tank, but there are people who do because they want to show that it can't survive. Now, Martin, what do you say? Or do you even disagree with the premise, the question?
I'm honestly, I'm kind of half and half on it. I don't want it to succeed. Then again, I want to see it do well in a certain spot because Leo Boston and Lexi Hall is on there, and that's my.
Why were they invited?
We already know
why were they invited.
We already know that.
Well, they were invited they were invited
exactly.
To be her and Kate Money Morton with her 2 points per game.
And also, if you notice, it was a young lady that was on the Locked On Women's basketball. She went to the same high school with Caitlin Clark, and she's a part of Unrivaled, and they had hired her too. I didn't even know that until I went back on X to look at it. So that's just my half, but the other half is strongly saying that, like, I don't want it to succeed because I think they created this league despite the WNBA because of the CBA deal, and they wanted to try to get more money, see if they could outsmart the WNBA. And I think that's a bad move on their look. If they had created instead of creating it under false pretense, then I would have been like, okay, I see what they're doing. But they created this league out of false pretense because they complained about money so much in the WNBA, and they think that the WNBA is going to sit back and say, well, you're going to try to take all our players to play in this misfit of a league. And when we got players that's overseas that want to come and play in the WNBA, we could easily pull them over. And if you try to strike the WNBA, you're going to lose. So I think this league was created out of the mischief of spite to the WNBA and the CBA deal that's about to come up. That's where I think that league
Why
came
would the
from.
WNBA allow that? I was wondering that all along. How many people get to go on the road and give interviews about a league when you're in the season already with a league that's already established? I thought that was odd.
Exactly. But you go back to look at it, Kathy Engelberg doesn't have a backbone. She's not strong. If Adam Silver has to run his league and run your league at the same time, that goes to show you that you weak. You just a pawn into what it is that they're doing, and you're not being a commissioner of your league. As much as some people don't like Roger Goodell in the NFL, if Roger Goodell was the commissioner of the WNBA, the marketability would have been to the roof. These teams would have been way ahead of schedule than they are right now. Some of these teams in the WNBA are not way ahead of schedule, and that's why the Indiana Fever brought back Kelly. They hire I can't remember her name now. Amy, yeah. And Amber. And so they brought back them because they see the value in this team and to see the stars that they have on this team with Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston. Look what Minnesota Lynx just did. They hired 2 coaches to replace. They not sitting back. You look at some of these teams, they sit back and wait and wait and wait, and then they can sit back and complain about everything instead of be more forceful and pour into your league without the negativity and without the activism. And that's what hurts the league so much, because there's nobody really to take charge of the league. You need a strong commissioner to really step in and say, hey, enough is enough. If you feel this strongly, if you don't want to play here, then play somewhere else. But you got all that young talent that's coming from college. Their goal is to play in the WNBA. And all of these older people, because you look at them, they are getting older. They're not going to be playing forever. And this is going, how they say it in the NBA now, is a young man's league. It's about to be a young ladies' league in the W.
Yeah. Well, they're holding on tight, which is why the Olympics looked like it looked. But okay, I'm going to set the order just a little bit, because I want to go back to Rudy, because I've heard you say this before. So that's why it was on my list. And then you touched on it again. You feel strongly that women should coach women. Like, why are they hiring all these men, is what you feel. There are some people who feel like the women should not be coaching at all. Tell me why you feel the way you feel.
Because look, for example, right now at the 12 teams, or the 13th team now, they hired a coach who has virtually no experience to coach Golden State, who was an assistant on a team going through a massive scandal right now with the Las Vegas Aces. Tell me how the Las Vegas Aces have two assistant coaches get jobs who were involved as head coaches, who were involved. They can sit here and lie about it. They were all involved. They all knew what was going down, which is why I also have no empathy for Kelsey Plum, because Kelsey Plum allowed De'Erica Hamby to burn. And I cannot stand for being pregnant. And De'Erica Hamby played pregnant, helped them win a championship pregnant, and actually never missed one single game. And they dumped her because she was pregnant. And they didn't think that she was.
And Kelsey Plum is like the vice president of the place.
And Kelsey Plum got behind Becky Hammond. So I have no empathy or I don't have any fees for Kelsey Plum. Get what you get.
Well, how does that relate to women?
But in terms of women's basketball, I just want to get that out there, actually.
Yeah.
You need to develop women's coaches. Like, why are we hiring men from the NBA to coach a woman? I mean, in the terms of this, the Unrivaled, but you've had Bill Laimbeer, you've had Michael Cooper, you've had all these men who have coached in the
Isaiah
WNBA.
Thomas.
He coached the WNBA too?
I think so. I'm not sure.
Oh, I don't remember that.
But the thing is, you're developing a women's league. This isn't like elementary school basketball or even high school basketball, where even there, I think that you should have women coaching high school girls because of all the other things that go on nowadays that you see that are just inappropriate. There's constant things that are popping up now in high schools where relations are weird.
We're seeing inappropriate stuff in the WNBA where women end up, as we saw with Cheryl Swoops, where she ended up being in a relationship with,
which is disgusting.
Coach of the Comets, Alyssa Scott,
which is
that too.
And that's a problem that also exists in women's basketball, is that you have these relationships, which should be completely banned. Yep. Banned. Like you cannot. If you do, you're going to be out of the league. And look, if they're going on the NBA with men, we don't know about it. But in the WNBA, they don't care. That we know that 80%.
But they want you to know. Yeah, that's
80% of the league is lesbian, so it's like no big deal, But at the same time, it is a big deal when Alyssa Smith is playing her girlfriend and manages to not grab rebounds over her smaller girlfriend, and clearly seems like she's sabotaging her own team. But I think you have to give women the opportunity to grow as coaches, train them as coaches. We're 28 years in now.
Yeah.
And you're still hiring dudes to coach women? Why are we doing that? I wouldn't want a woman coaching men. Like that whole thing with Lindsey Harding coaching an NBA. Get out of here. There's men's sports and there's women's sports.
Everybody stay in their lane.
Let women coach women. Let men coach men. Because I'm a man. I coach kids. Yeah. And you know who the biggest problems on all my teams are? The girls. Because they're co-ed teams.
Well, it's the same thing. If a woman is, listen, I've coached girls, and dealing with women is always.
But you can get away with it. I had a mother. I'm sorry. It's weird because I live in the city of Pompano Beach, Florida. And we have a girls league, and then we have a co-ed league. Why don't we just have a boys league? And we have a girls league. So now we get girls in the co-ed league. There's only like maybe 15 or 20, but every team hits a girl or two. They have to. I get a grandmother who comes up to me and says, "This is the first time my granddaughter has played sports. She's 12. What the heck are you waiting? Like, I'm supposed to teach her to play soccer? That was when you're 5.
So are you saying that a woman should be working with her to teach her?
No, I'm saying that she shouldn't be playing. But then the fact that her mother, she shouldn't even be playing. Like, at this point, like, it's too late. You know, because what ended up happening was I said, "Don't worry, I'm gonna run her into the dirt," as I run every one of my players into the dirt. Because
You're
if you're
gonna
not
play
in
like
shape,
a player. Yeah, you're gonna. Yeah.
And you know what the grandma says? Please don't do that.
Oh yeah,
Then take your granddaughter and get
Yeah.
out of here. We're here to win.
Yeah.
And so I think for professionals, if we have not cultivated women coaches and bred women coaches to coach, what are we doing? Go look at the assistant coaches right now in the WNBA. And that's where I was going with it. Most of them don't have more than like 2 or 3 years experience. Why is that? Where are they?
All right. I'm gonna make a comment on that, but I want Martin. I want you to weigh in on this. Are you in agreement that women should coach women, men should coach men?
Ooh, that's a tough one for me because I think men bring a certain structure. And now Rudy illustrates some great points because the relationship factor bothers me a lot when it comes to women because you see it so much in the W where you have coaches, you got you probably have like some coaches dating like a high executive person, a lot of conflict of interest. If you have a man and he doesn't have a conflict of interest, it then is you able to coach in some way. Now, a lot of people always was advocating for Mark Jackson to coach in the WNBA. His attitude, his style, the way he thinks, it would never serve because you got to look at the WNBA. They want people, certain coaches that they can control. Certain coaches they can't. You know what I'm saying? Like Cheryl Reeves or Becky Hammond. I say a little bit of Stephanie White. But certain male coaches that they do hire, they are either gay or not straight or whatever the case may be, and then they able to do a little bit more to control that. But I do believe that some male coaches can, like strong male coaches, can come in and put a certain structure in there. But it's a slippery slope too because you could always have these allegations, you know what I'm saying, along that attached with some of these men. So to be on the safe side, yeah, you can have women, but you have to develop them. I mean, you think about it. We just had Chrissy Sides, who does not have no kind of experience. She was assistant coach through the W, but she hasn't had any head coaching experience. When you don't have that kind of head coaching experience, and you coaching, I don't care what kind of team you're coaching in the W. And if you don't have that structure, it's hard to have that communication factor towards them players because you can look at some of these players. They know how to listen to certain coaches and know how to tune out certain coaches.
Well, that's with everything, right? Yeah.
And so the thing about
you sound to me like you're saying that a male coach would bring more structure.
Yeah, I think a male coach would bring more structure. Not saying a woman coach can, but you have to have a woman coach that come in and unsee all of the BS that goes on into the W to coach, really coach, lock in to coach her team the way she needs to be coaching. Look at Seattle, the relationship, it might not be a relationship, but it's a friend relationship between Noah Quinn and Nika. And that shows it could be detrimental to a team. later on. So,
Well, it's interesting. It's an ongoing kind of conversation.
yeah.
I had a male assistant, my girls, it was high school, of course, but I found as a woman, it's more like it was a little bit harder for me sometimes when I had to make the cut, and I say to my sister, who was also a very good friend and associate pastor at my church, and he's just like, he's a football guy, he's an athlete. I'm like, is it bothering you? And he's just like, no. I mean, we got to make the tough decisions. That's just the way. And so some people think that women are, it just depends, I guess. But I just wanted to hear you out on that. All right. I know we got
I just got one. I'm sorry. I got one more. Mark Jackson would make those women quit. Like bluntly.
Yeah.
Mark Jackson would have them complaining up to HR. And that's the problem. You want to have some soft dude out there? Go ahead, have a soft dude out there.
Some women would. You take a Caitlin Clark. She said it before when she was doing her speaking during the golf event. She was just like, leadership is kind of knowing who you're working with, right? There are some people who need to be all soft. And she's like me. I'm just like, give it to me straight, right? So it all depends. But
for every Caitlin Clark, there's crybabies like Asia Wilson.
Well, here's the thing. What I'm not in favor of is a DEI hire. Like I'm not.
Oh yeah.
Well, that was the Golden State hire, without a doubt.
It might have been, but my point being, that's what I'm saying. Like I don't want it to be like, okay, so we got to check the box and we got to have a woman in it. I just want the best coaches possible. But I just wanted to hear you out.
I just come from. I'm old school. I come from a man perspective of I played football. There's no way in hell I would ever listen to a female tell me about football because you've never played. Like you've never played.
So it's about your ego.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. No, why are we lying about stuff like that?
Yeah, I hear you. You being honest.
Let's have Tom Brady play quarterback and have some 5'6" girl tell him how to play quarterback.
I will tell you this though, and then I got to move on because I know we're short on time. I will tell you this: there is one woman who has passed away now, who could have coached in the NBA.
Pat Summitt.
Pat Summitt. Now that's one I think would have had the respect of men to listen. You might disagree.
No, I mean she might have. She might have. But that would have taken. It took 30 years, and yet they want to hire Lindsey Harden, who's coached for 4. Like,
okay, I hear that.
And I mean, and men's basketball is different than women's basketball. I mean, there's a physicality that is different because people say, "Oh, the women's game is so physical." Yeah, try banging a 6'10", 260-pound man. Like, it's physical too.
Yes. All right. We got to wrap this up. I'm going to end with this lightning round. I want one word. I'm just going to throw out a few things, and I just want one word from each of you. Okay. All right. I'll start with you, Martin. One word.
Okay.
Caitlin Clark.
Phenomenal.
Rudy.
Goat.
Ooh. Martin. Kathy Engelbert.
Trash.
Oh, okay. Rudy.
I mean, it's 2 words, brain dead, but.
All right, Martin. Cheryl Swoops.
Oh my gosh.
I'm gonna come back to you. Hold on, I'm gonna come back to you. Rudy.
Okay.
Racist.
Ooh, mercy. That's it. Now that's his take. That's not my take necessarily. But go ahead.
Oh
Martin.
my gosh. I want to be nice, but I can't. Idiot.
Ooh, okay.
Because she has the.
Wait. Just one word. Just lightning.
Okay.
That's lightning. All right, Rudy, I'm back to you. Lexi Hall.
Glue.
Ooh, okay. Martin.
Mermaid.
I wish I could ask, but I can't.
I don't even know what that was.
Mermaid.
It's a thing with her and Caitlin Clark.
Oh, okay. So I'm not up on it. Okay, back to you, Martin. Angel Reese. One word.
Delusional.
Ooh, Rudy.
Oh man. Attention.
Ooh, okay. Rudy.
She needs it.
Yeah. I got you. Rudy, Paige Beckers.
Excellent.
Okay, Martin.
Good, good.
Good. Okay.
Yeah, good.
All right. And here's the last one. And I'll let you start, Rudy, with this one. Okay. 2025 WNBA champion.
If it's done right, Indiana Fever.
Okay. Martin.
Indiana Fever.
Okay. All right, guys.
Oh, I have something to share. I'm on Blue Sky, and Grace Berger just followed me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
I'm not familiar with Blue Sky.
it's like X.
Okay. And all right. Well, way to go. All right.
Yeah.
Listen, before I let you guys go, I want you to tell us where people can find you, follow you, keep up with you. Start with you, Rudy.
Well, everyone, yeah, my name again is Rudy Rodriguez Shoma. I am the co-founder of Come On Now, the podcast. You can find me there. Come On Now, the podcast. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and follow. I also have a secondary page, Rudy's Rant. It's a different type of page now. It's more of a reaction page to the stuff that I see other people post, primarily, more well-known people who like to tell me that Juju Watkins is the face of women's basketball, without a doubt. And I got comments on that type of thing. And yeah, I have an opinion, and I've managed to do a whole show here without really cursing at all. So it's rather miraculous. But yeah, you get Rudy's Come On Now, the podcast, and Rudy's Rant.
Okay, excellent. And Martin, where can people find and follow you?
You can always find me on LiveWire Sports Media on YouTube and LiveWire Sports Media on X as well. And plus, I just started another channel for my poetry and music, The Writer's Poet, on YouTube. And I just put uploaded my first music video on there. It's not like a total video, just a song video on there. So I will share it with y'all in inbox also. But unless that, you can always find me on LiveWire Sports Media.
Okay. Guys, thank you so much. I knew this was going to be fire. I knew it was. I love it. I love the passion. I love the insight. I love the realness. I don't like the let's hide and make it sweet.
Yeah.
All that. Sometimes you just got to say it. So thank you so much for keeping it a buck.
Thank you. I could do this for another hour if you want.
I know. So could I. For real. That's totally.
Yeah.
We got to do this again.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
I appreciate it. Loved it. All right, guys. God bless you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, everybody. Thank you for hanging out with us for this basketball edition of the Adrienne Ross Show. If you have not subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you like, comment, share, and also make sure you go over to follow the two gentlemen, Marty from LiveWire Sports and Rudy from Rudy's Rant, and Come On Now, the podcast. All right, so that you can keep up with them. I'll catch you next time, God willing. God bless you abundantly.